Peace and power, family. Hope we are all doing well on this beautiful Sunday. And it's that time again. Time for the weekly forecast. Grand Rising, Danique. Grand Rising, Stacey. How are we all doing? Empress in here. Perfect. Grand Rising, Lisa. How are we all doing? Man, it's a beautiful day.
Hold on there. Hey.
How are you? We can't see you, by the way. It's looking like a black
What?
screen right now.
Hold on, let me see what is going on.
Oh, oh, that was by mistake, guys.
Am I back?
No, it's just a black screen.
Right, let me go and come back in.
No worries, no worries. We'll be here. We'll be here. So, guys, how's our week's been? How's our week's been? I've had a transformational week. That's all I can say. Um, went to down to Glastonbury. It's the heart chakra of the earth, and when I mean my eyes have been opened to things that I've read about, but only when you see fractals and you see just the breakdown of reality and consciousness, it opens you up to, hey, it- I,
Can you
yeah, I
see
can
me
see
now? I'm
you, I can
there.
see you, I can see you.
Oh,
Yes,
good,
I was just
thanks.
telling people about the
Typing,
week and how
please.
it was transformational. I've seen fractals, I've seen them, like, and I've seen them slightly before my own meditations, but going out into nature, resetting, understanding how safe we are in nature itself is different. It's a different level to be able to step into yourself. Like, I felt like my eyes have been closed for what? I'm 31. My eyes have been closed for 31 years. Now I closed my eyes at one point and God's honest truth, I could see 360 in it. And there was like colors everywhere. It was like I was seeing deeply, but there was an understanding that these images gave me, which, like I said, I'm not the same person. I died out there. Whoever was Daryl before, he was sacrificed in the fire. I was able to cut my own tree,
Oh,
watch the
wow.
flames, understand that this reality is very limited, what we experience physically, and that we are like, I know I always say we're perfect by design, but when you truly understand the ebbs and flows, like I said, I read about it, but now I felt it. It's almost like I understand all of these years of reading. It's almost like it hit me, where it's like I am who I am. I'm cool with who I am. I know my place. I know what my point is in this web of realities, what we call it, throughout time and space, and I've never been cooler with who I am, and being able to say, "Hey,
Wow. Mhm.
this is how I stay. I ain't trying to change. I'm trying to evolve, but I'm not trying to change, And certain spiritually altered states, I'm naturally there. That's what I kind of realized. Like, oh, this is me. Like, I don't even feel too uncomfortable with this per se. So guys, I'm going to be doing another one of those retreats in September. I went there were six of us this time, but I'll be trying to take as many people as possible. The owner is amazing. Subscribe to the newsletter or you will not find out more. Done. I need you guys to subscribe. You know what I mean? So yeah, subscribe to the newsletter and it'll all be, I'll be doing a proper write up, all of the things that was going on, the places that we saw, absolutely everything. It was magic. It was magic going out there, seeing the ruins, seeing when King Arthur was met, where his tomb was, you know, being able to live off grid for a couple of days. Yeah, yeah. Nothing could have been better. See what I mean? I needed that. I needed that. I needed that. But nature is mad. I got sick the first day because I put my foot in the ground until like 10 o'clock at night. And so I was cold. And then it was like that night, it was peak.
Yeah, this is England,
Yeah,
mate.
after climatizing, I realized, yo, nature is something to play with, you know. As long we say ground and all that is good for you, yeah, yeah, have some sense too. You know what I mean? Like, put all my energy clearly. It got taken into the ground, did it? But yeah, how are you? How are you? How you been?
Hey, hey, that's a beautiful reflection, by the way.
No
Thank you
worries.
so much for sharing. Um, yeah, a mixed bag week, very, very transformative. I mean, I went back to work
Mm-hmm.
this week. It was amazing to feel independent, like
Mm-hmm.
somebody, you know what I'm saying, like who I was before. Not even who I was, obviously, it's a totally different
Yeah.
version, but as in the familiarity of stepping in to an office space, colleagues, having bants, like remembering how fun it is to kind of interact with people outside of, my little bubble that I have been in since maternity leave. So that's been beautiful. Uh, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm not going to be there for forever. I know that much. When I got there, I was like, yeah, this is for a time, but I know
Mm-hmm.
why. But it was beautiful. I'm enjoying it. Clients are starting to come through already. And then those who were on the solstice Reiki and Tarot, thank you so much for joining. It was amazing. Those who were there recognize, well, I told them that I dropped my laptop literally 5 minutes before starting. And I had to, in that moment, swallow everything, let it feel. What I held was like, slay it out,
Mm-hmm.
breathe. And I was just like, I can't believe it just
That's,
happened. And I'd done this whole big presentation and really put effort in. And, I was really
mm,
upset, but I was able to work through it while being in the event. And the ladies' energy was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It was an amazing session. We didn't allow that energy to just pass us by. We actually took a hold of it. And there was some great reflections and some great sharing, and I'm just thankful for that space because I was able to work through my ish in the
mm-hmm.
moment. And everybody could see that I was a little bit but it didn't take away, and that was the main thing. The messages that I got was that you didn't need no big time slideshow. There was nothing
Mm-hmm.
taken away, and it reaffirmed again, you are enough. I
Mm-hmm.
am enough,
Mm-hmm.
just being and sharing what I have anyway. Big up Danique. She was, I'm saying, she was there for me, man. She let me know, like, don't even worry about nothing, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I had Nads up in there as well. And do you know what? I had a beautiful group of women, and it was just amazing. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a mixed bag week, very transformative in the sense that I've changed from doing this at home situation to doing a couple of days at work,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great balance. And that's what it calls for in this time, the great balance of home and the outside life, the
Mm-hmm.
personal, exciting, fun stuff. We went out for a drink on Saturday with the
Yes.
girls. So I ain't done that
Mm-hmm.
in time. So I was keying, we got deep, it was beautiful. Long story short, a mixed bag, but very
Jeez.
transformative. So yeah, hello
Hey everyone,
everyone.
thank you for the comments. And I really like what you was talking about, and especially when you said the home and the outside life. That really is like Cancer Capricorn vibes. When you think about it, Cancer's like the nurturer, the mother of the zodiac, and you've got Capricorn, which is like the father, the hustler of the zodiac. So you know, working through some of the stuff, I know sometimes you just need to let it let it out, let it free. Like you said, you are worthy. We don't need external things, because really speaking, if you go back a couple hundred or a couple thousand years, all man had was fire. And they were
Yeah,
creating mad images in people's
yeah,
minds through stories, which became our religions, our myths, our laws of Ma'at. I mean, someone brought this stuff down. So,
yeah.
that's what you're doing. You're a medium. So yeah, I'm just glad you was able to experience that. And you'll get a new laptop. You'll get a better laptop. Anything that broke, the university will say,
Amen.
yo, this
Amen.
wasn't, yeah, we need to give you something better. You have to drop it because you're holding on to it a little bit tight, certain times. So, yeah, don't worry. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. For
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Thank you so much for saying that, Daryl. Because even one more thing before I go ahead, do you know what else came about? Now that I've started work, it's like don't focus so much on all the other stuff. I wasn't even sleeping at night really well because I was doing all of the stuff to do with, the Patreon and trying to get things done. So before long, I wasn't going to sleep at a decent hour because I was so fixated on that. So I know the most I was like, you need to focus on the next chapter, which is do a couple of, settle into work first, then jump back into those things with a different renewed energy from the space of what does it feel like
Mhm.
working and now having the energy of your private life. So yeah, the balance is real out there, so thank you so much for that. Big up,
Yeah.
big up, big up. So what, go on then, what's going on in the stores and,
Okay,
and
I'll
all of
kick it off.
that? What's going on
Yes,
with the
but Joe,
planets?
I was the second what you said because I changed up my work routine as well. So I'm not working mornings no more because I was waking up and it's like 5:15. I have to
Yeah.
be 5:30. Man, I have to be working. I was like, I came into this job to get out of them things. So it was that fear of like lack, or maybe just the habit of needing to hustle all the time. I'm like, no, I need to hustle for me. So I'm like, I ain't starting work before 11:30 no
Yeah,
more. Like done. You know what I mean, a couple of hours.
man.
But yeah, let's get into this week. Let's get into this week. Obviously, I'm going to start with the full moon because we're not going to go much into it. We've got the new moon. Sorry, we've got the new moon in Cancer, guys. So Cancer, cardinal water. Cardinal is about initiating. It's about starting. This is like just after the summer solstice. It's the Egyptian New Year. If you go back to when there was deacons in the sky, so this is going to be all about looking at our nurturing side. How are we looking after people? What are we doing? It's going to be a time when we're going to be going out for some drinks and some food, and recognizing that we need to look for ourselves as well, because this is run by the moon. Cancer is ruled by the moon, so it's never a set energy. It's always something that will. It's the ebbs and the flows. In my humble opinion, it's the strongest new moon that we can get because the sun is in the moon sign, and then the moon is in the moon sign. At this time, so it really allows that divine feminine energy to come out. And it's very interesting that this happens when the sun is in its longest period, isn't it? So it's almost like when the divine masculine is high, the divine feminine almost steps in at that moment. It's like protecting us and saying, yeah, these are the things you want. We get it. You're hustling. You need this. But are you looking after self? Are you nurturing this? Because the divine masculine must be nurtured by the divine feminine. And so that's the sort of energy that I'm realizing and I'm seeing is coming through. But you'll get all of the breakdown of how that is looking astrologically at the full moon meditation, which is on Wednesday. So guys, don't miss it. Honestly, it's such a powerful one. And it really is almost solidifying some of the themes that were coming up earlier. For example, with the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. So a lot of that's going to be coming out in this time. But the only other thing that's coming up this week is Neptune, this planet of spirituality, the path of like freedom, something like that spiritual veil, right? Our dreams, our ideals, that's actually going retrograde. So when Neptune goes retrograde and in the sign of Pisces at the moment, it really is going to reveal to us what have we been idealizing. What have we been saying is, yeah, this is tip top, but I don't really like it because you're taking these things on to create that ideal version of yourself. But we need to get hit with the reality sometimes, you know. Everyone knows my phrase, which is like you're perfect by design, but perfection doesn't mean good. It doesn't mean positive. It just means it's perfect as it is. So sometimes the reality will hit us and take us back those dreams and say, well, yeah, you said, you wanted to hustle. That was ideal for you, but you're working 60, 70 hours a week. Is this really ideal? You're getting X from it, but are you getting Y from it? So it's about reviewing that was spirituality, where we are emotionally, those ideals. Have we been idealizing ideas, people, circumstances, maybe even the universe as it is? Have we been saying the universe is all positive and there's no negativity? And it's like, well, the universe works for you,
Yeah.
and in the long run, in the highest sense, the universe is going to be positive and progressive. in the long run. But understanding that, you know, God, for example, is good and evil is everything that's also in between means that sometimes that direction is taking you somewhere where it may not be ideal for you in your subjective experience of the universe. And so being confronted with that so that we can change and we can evolve and grow into a true ideal, which is accepting both the good, the evil, the ups, the downs, and going to a higher plane of saying, this is just my existence itself, and I'm going towards God. We're going to be tested with that, especially because it's in the sign of Pisces as well, you know. So Pisces has no barriers, it has no lines. It's all about, you know, the subtle emotions. It's a mutable water sign. So mutable means it adapts and it changes. Water is about emotions. When I say emotions, I mean the biochemical reactions that are happening in the body, the release of serotonin, oxytocin, melatonin, etc. This is about the transmutation. This is why they are called the mystics. This is why you find some people, if you're having a really heavy Pisces transit, you might get into like heavily drinking or heavily into like different sort of drugs, for example, because you're seeking that biochemical reaction. But when you've got Neptune then goes retrograde, what it says is, yes, you will use in these particular things, or you can be using these things to create these emotions when there's things that you need to be doing to create these emotions within yourself. Not that it's not okay to use these things, because we have to use things. You know, we live in life, right? The universe gives us everything in the universe to use, but there's sometimes the universe will then look back at us and say, well, you using these things is taking it away from the fact that you could have done something. And if you do it to create that emotion, not only do you receive it, but the other people that were part of the experience that you created also experience that. So tapping into that energy when it's centered inwardly, it will allow us to open ourselves to, yes, these are the emotions I want to feel. I'm idolizing this thing. It feels good. You know, I'm idolizing this person. They feel good. I'm idolizing this situation. It feels good. But at the same time, what do I need to do so that I feel good? But I may feel bad for a moment. It's like going to the gym. You may feel bad for a moment, but after you do your hour session or you've gone for a jog, you have that release of serotonin. That's a byproduct of that. So it's really reviewing what you're idolizing and then really looking at when I realized this ideal version of myself, I idealized it majority of the time. And we all do, you know, I want £1 million. You think it's all easy. I want this body. You think it's all easy. I want this sort of relationship. You think it's all easy. But then when it gets turned back inwards, it's like, but what do you need to do? What's the hard work? What's the negative side? You know, because again, any mutable sign goes from the positive to the negative because it deals with transmutation. So it's like, what is the other side that we may have not seen so that we can create this ideal from that time? And obviously, it goes retrograde just before the new moon, and the new moon being connected to Jupiter. That's the only thing I'm dropping about the new moon. It being connected to that sign that was in connection with Neptune. When it's now being connected to the moon, Neptune has gone retrograde to review. It's like that energy is coming out, but in a completely different way now. You know, it's about action, right? Because Jupiter is in the sign of Aries at the moment, alongside Mars as well, which rules that sign. So that is all that's going on for this week. But again, there's a whole bag of stuff that may be coming about because of that. So yes, do we have any questions? Any reflections? Anyone be feeling this energy? Because I've been feeling the energy already, to be honest. And with Neptune and these outer planets, you feel the energy early because they're powerful entities at the end of the day. So yeah, that's the weekly forecast.
Wow. Wow. Well, before anybody jumps in, definitely put your questions in. But just as a reflection of what you were saying, literally this idea about this spiritual review. It's we were having the same communication over the weekend, and we were talking about just that sense of we were talking about manifestation, and we were talking about how our subconscious mind sometimes plays a huge role in how we look at what it is that we actually need and what it
Hmm.
is that we want. So when we are coming from a spiritual place where we feel whole and there's this energy of I feel bouncy and I've got it in my tin, it feels a little bit more attainable, like it's real. But then when there's a dip in the vibration or the manifestations haven't been going as you would like, or if you don't feel confident in yourself, then it feels like you're just saying
Hmm.
words. You know, it's like when you're affirming things, it's like you're just saying it. And sometimes it's almost like you've got to trick yourself into saying it
Hmm.
until you believe it. And it's about seeking that energy. So it makes sense that we're reviewing this sense of our spirituality, you know, our emotions connected to that. Because if you don't feel fabulous or you don't feel right, then sometimes when you are saying those words, you may not truly believe them. And then the manifestation is slower to come. Or like I even heard, I watched one of the videos that Nads
Hmm.
and Mikkel did, and they were talking about having more responsibility and wanting more. So it's like if you're going to want something that's going to be transformative for everyone and yourself, then you are going to need the more lavish things or the more things that's going to sustain. But if it's just for wanting's sake, sometimes the vim ain't there for what it is that you want, because really, do you
Yeah.
really need it? You want it, but do you really need it in the part of the journey that you're at? Maybe really right now what you need to do is just deal with the self-love. Then everything else will transpire out of you feeling better.
Hmm.
Do you get what I mean? So that spiritual thing, we had that conversation over the weekend, and that just made my body spin. So I was like, I know exactly what that is. So thank you for just breaking it down in that way, because
No.
it makes sense. Is
Yes.
there any questions? I saw a big
Yes,
old
there is
comment,
some
but I couldn't
questions.
see.
Whilst I'm going through this, I'll just comment what you're saying. It's definitely things that this energy had, well, had to restart some spiritual practices that you fell off, feeling the actual energy coming from doing that as well. Yeah, that is literally the energy. What you were saying about having things, I would even add to what they're saying is that sometimes when you need, I don't believe we truly need anything. My opinion is that everything in the universe is that we want, because at the end of the day, we're only going back to God, right? That's no matter what happens to you, you're going back to God. Like worst case scenario, your spirit gets recycled, but we're not going into that, right? So we're always going back to a state of being. But sometimes when we ask for what we want, we're not really willing to do the work. And the vim is that you're not asking what you really want. The spirit, the spiritual wants are our needs. That's what I think, right? But on one level, it's just a want, isn't it? And then when you're not really going for what you really want, of course you're not going to get that energy, because all we are is a ball of energy, guys. Like there's more energy in your little finger. If you was to convert the energy, right? How many atom bombs do you think you can make out your finger? So you can charge the world eternally from the energy that is inside of us. But if we're not doing action, if we're not utilizing this energy to create the life that we want, all that happens is you get delusional. Again, this is another Neptune thing, because Neptune is very much related to Pisces. So what happens when you get delusional? You're saying, yeah, I'm this person, I'm that, I'm a millionaire, but you're sitting out in your house, in your bed, you don't wake up until 4 o'clock,
No.
then you're taking drugs till 8, and then you go back to sleep and you're saying you're a millionaire. In one reality, you more than likely are a millionaire. The reality you've created in your head, which is still valid if that's what you want to live. But if you want to bring it into the physical reality, it's hard to make.
And it's the responsibility and the discipline, isn't it? That's where the structure comes
Yes,
in.
that's Saturn. That's when it
Yeah.
comes to Saturn. Don't deal with beauty. Saturn deals with is hard work. So when you're taking that energy, you have to create that discipline at the same time to manifest that. And it does start with self-love. That is the first thing that it starts with. Because if you don't feel good, no matter what you put out there, right, the energy isn't going to be there to sustain it. It may not be that in the moment we can all talk well, like, first, honeymoon period, when you first start something, always new, it's always fresh. You always have a little piece of energy for it. But then when it gets hard, when the negative steps in, that's when you're tested. This is when Saturn comes in and says, it's hard now, you know, what are you gonna do about it? It's the father of time. It pays you dividends over time. And so that's like that they're saying, if you want lavish things, you're gonna have to do the work. The thing is, even if you don't want it, if you do the work, you'll get it. Because that's how Saturn works. Saturn don't care about what you want. Saturn don't, business about that. He cares about looking at your actions and then paying you based on that. So you want money and you save and you invest and even if you didn't want the money, you may wake up one day and be like, oh snap, I've got 20 grand because I've been saving the last 5 years, I've been investing and the money's come. I didn't want the money, but the universe will give you because the universe works on law. It doesn't work on feelings, doesn't work on opinion, prior to what people believe. It doesn't even work on vibes. It works on law. Your vibration is just based on a law that is if you put out certain energy in certain things will manifest. That's for me anyway, what I've learned and what I saw. But yeah, we also have a question as well from Nads. Sorry about taking so long to answer it. And let's
Ah, man, this is the thing, man. This
and
is
they said
brilliant.
there's a
Go ahead.
major shift going on with people, especially health transitions in the last week. How does this let me see if I can how does that relate? So spirituality always relates to your health because your body is always trying to manifest things from your spirit. And so when you're idolizing things, you can be idolizing ideas like how you eat, how you drink, how you look after your body, saying this is right because the next person told me this is how it's meant to be. But maybe you're not listening to yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes depending on what house it's in, let's say if it's in the sixth house, for example, then that's the house of health anyway. So it really does depend on how it's connecting with your chart. Because for some people, it may not be health transitions. For some people, it could be financial matters. For other people, it could be relationships. If it is to do with your health, check the ideas that you're operating with. Check your practices. I know there's some people that have got super spiritual and said, I need 3 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep every day. But eventually that will catch up with you. No matter what you do, that will catch up with you. I mean, in relation to your astrology reading today. So, yeah, it is. So, Neptune, anything can happen in any house, right? And that's why it's always individual to people. Cancer is about nurturing, it is about the stomach, it's about health, it's about all of the feminine. But how it relates to separate people will always be individual. There's no reading, I don't care who says it, that's going to hit the entire planet the same way. So
Yeah.
if it is relating to your health, it may be that you're idolizing ideas, right? Or the sun has started to realize or shine on you how you're not nurturing yourself. You know, have you been sleeping correctly? Have you really been eating correctly? Have you been looking at your thoughts correctly? Are you going through life unconscious? Which means you're just focusing on what you're doing in the physical, but you're not working on the mind. So you might have an argument, then you're cooking food and you're thinking about the argument whilst you're cooking the food. And so, you're not even really seasoning it how you should season it. You're not putting no love into what you are doing. So I believe all of these things are being brought to the surface because Neptune, because it's an outer planet, it's so subtle and it really changes for absolutely everybody. So sorry I can't give like a direct answer, but you've got so many planets. Yes, Till, how are you? You've got so many planets that are dealing with health at the moment, even the fact that you've got Uranus, and that's in Taurus, which is all about the body, right? So there's so many things that are going on at any given time that could be showing you about health, well-being, finances. But that transit has been going on goes on for 7 years, Uranus being in Taurus. So that's something that's been happening. That's why we've seen a transformation in the food industry, for example, right? Over the last 7, 8 years, you've seen veganism and all of this stuff. It's become accessible,
Superfoods and all that.
because there's been a
Mhm,
shift
mhm,
and a
mhm.
rebellion with how we're dealing with our health, our bodies. So I can, if I was to do like a reading over the whole week and to look over it, I'm more than likely to find certain things have come up. But whilst I was in nature, I never even look at my laptop really. I didn't have my laptop and I was really in my own state. So
In
yeah,
present. Okay.
let's
Mm.
see. But we have actually got no, actually, let me have a look. We've got Uranus is actually squaring off with Saturn, which it has been though, which is getting this that freedom and responsibility piece. So again, there's so many things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I've got to go on a mad tangent, and we don't want that. 'Cause we want to at least finish before what, like 12:30. So there's many things on that. I hope that helps just a little bit, but definitely look at what you're idolizing.
Mm.
and, you know, really review your ideas to yourself and say, is this right for me? You know, I ain't eating this, I ain't eating that, I'm not doing this, I'm doing this. Is this actually right for me? Can my body handle it? Any more questions, guys?
Makes sense.
See, my twin is on here, by the way, guys. We've got like almost every planet the same. It's crazy. Yeah, I know it's crazy,
Wow.
isn't it? But our rising signs are opposite, which is mad. Anyway, so do you want to start with the tarot? I'm actually excited to see what the energy is
Oh
for the
yes,
week.
indeed. Me too, actually, because that was a nice little yeah, man. I ate there. Feel good. Let's see what's going on for the week. Oh, that's brilliant. Yes. Just one more. No, that's too many of them. So it makes full sense. It makes sense of what we've been talking about. You were talking about the Neptune and the spirituality and the path that we're taking, reviewing. Does it make sense? Is it the right way of doing things? And then we've got number 12, which is the temple path. So yeah, the path to the temple, which is your center, you know, your spiritual being, your aspirations, and all of these little lights are almost, I see them as our guides. You know, they're you know, when you watch them little Disneys and they show like the little spirits as like these little lights, sort of like these firefly looking things, and that's what's all over this card. So it makes sense that we're actually reviewing how we're feeling spiritually and actually building our connection to
Mhm.
that temple, you know, our temple, ourselves, our being. And sometimes, like I said before, there's a disconnect with how we're feeling. But the temple path is saying there is always paths to this supreme peace and oneness. And that's exactly where we're actually aspiring to. Everything that we're doing is so that inside we feel right, and that we actually feel that as though we are here in our physical, that we are looking about our spiritual what was the thing? It's not even mortality. It's I was talking back to my auntie the other day, and she's quite new to spirituality. Um, she used to have like a lot of religion stuff, and she kind of got out of that and wasn't kind of doing very much. And she was talking to me about just wanting to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that she hasn't lost that
Mhm.
part of herself. And I was saying there's never
Mhm.
a loss in that. It just means it's not been a focus. It hasn't had the
Mhm.
light shine on it. It hasn't, you haven't been watering it. So you haven't been seeing the, you know, the fruits or the growth that you would have, you know, that you would see if you are paying a bit more attention, if you are paying attention to that self-love, you know, doing that womb space healing, and just even looking at what your mind's doing, you know, with the journaling. So it makes full sense that there is a full rounded review going on, and I'm so happy that the temple path is here, because they're saying that the support is endless. There are, your ancestors are screaming at you, showing you signs, putting you in places, even things like watching the billboard that you just tend to, you know, that you look at when you're in transit. Things like that. They'll put little things in your path. The things people say on a whim, one away, might be in a conversation that's not even happening with you. But you're in earshot, and it's just like, oh, that hit differently. You know, all of those things, they're out there dropping seeds all over. So I'm really thankful to see that. And it's beautiful, because if you're able to be cognizant of the fact that there are constant signs going on, especially around your path of oneness, it's the self, and you're so glad you said the stomach as well, with the
Mhm.
cancer energy. It makes sense, because like I said before you finished speaking, and I said, oh, I felt that in
Mhm.
my tummy felt funny. That's where a lot of our, you know,
Mhm.
confirmation comes from. You know, we have that gut reaction, we have that gut feeling, and when you hear something, it's like a light bulb goes off. Like you said, your experience, something just clicked, and it was like, hold on a second. Oh, okay, snap. Epiphany moment. You know, and in that time, you can again feel extremely empowered. And then we have number 52, which is the goddess of the moon. So again, this energy where we are tapping into the power of the moon and the power of the phases, the emotions, taking it from one place to another, like Daryl was saying, with the endorphins and the serotonin and the this and the that and the different things that can actually happen throughout our cycle. So you go through that new moon feeling like, yeah, what have I done? I put down this, I'm about to do that BIM. And then you go for that full moon where you're looking and reviewing how it's
Hmm.
been done, what's happened, how you've been feeling, regurgitating the stuff that's old, and just to get it out, burning and releasing. All of these things are, again, a path to the temple, you know, a path to feeling whole, a path to feeling oneness and peace, you know, in that sense. And there's also a very sexual energy off of this card as well. It's a very sort of flow with it. It's very, very water, and it's very, you know, very interchangeable. It's sort of like that flow that you get when you kind of sitting against a stream and it's just going down these lovely little rocks all smooth. And then you see in the background that waterfall that's pelting down, you know. So there is phases, there's changes in the intensity of the passion and the intensity of the scenario and the emotions and all of those things. So it makes sense that there is going to be different degrees of energy and tapping into how you're feeling as well and what's actually happening in and around you. So there is a gentleness, and there's also a quite intense blast that's going on. And then we've got yin yang, which makes sense, and just, you know, a bit of light in the dark and a bit of dark in the light, and recognizing that both are valid and both are necessary and is a part of us and is our story. So a part of the more heavy, intense emotions, don't feel as though you have to, what's the word for it? Distinguish the, extinguish the fire. Sometimes you have to let it roar, because like we were even discussing in the solstice, how powerful fire is. If you're a fire gazer, you'll be able to start to see patterns, and you'll be able to see pictures, and you'll be able to have a clarity in mind, and you'll be able to see. So don't extinguish straight away. Work out what it is. Like they say, beautiful things are forged in the fire, you know. Yes, if it gets too hot in the kitchen, come out, yes. Yeah, understand me? And that's the next part of it too. It's too hot in the kitchen, get out, get out. But recognize that there is a heat there and there is something to be seen. So allow both sides to have their day in the sun. Remember, that's a path to the temple as well. That's why temple path is the first card. Many different routes to this piece. And it may not always look like Zen mode and beautiful, pretty clouds. It might look like forging through the fire, and you know what I'm saying, there's tongue dragon and then that's to let it all out and letting people know what time it is and what time it ain't, you know. And that's a part of it as well. So recognizing that this goddess of the moon is your friend, you know, is the fact that, like I said, there's phases of it, and allow yourself to go through those phases. Let me just see what the tarot has to say in relation to this temple path. I like that though, because many roads to, and remember, there's no necessarily a destination, it's the journey, you know. And we must also get out of that space of this destination situation. We are constantly moving, you know, even when we're standing still, constantly moving. So this destination thing ain't the gig, it's the many paths to freedom, to peace, to pleasure, you know, and that sense of desire as well. Let's have a look as well. Let's see what's temple path talking to us about, please. Thank you. Yeah, so the temple path is letting us know, look, sometimes you have to play the fool. Sometimes you have to there's two ways it has come out. The first one, I'm just going to say it the way it come out, but this is like the card was, I was like, what, the fool card? Yeah, sometimes you have to play fool to catch wise. What do I mean by that? Is sometimes you just have to watch the play for a little bit. You don't have to jump on the fact that you've seen the play or you've seen somebody's behavior or whatever. You just watch and see the pattern. Let's see if there's a pattern that forms, or is this an isolated issue. Sometimes it's best to kind of, you know, watch the play, make notes, mental ones, until you're ready to then speak it. So that's a channeled message. I don't know where and who that's for. But for some of you, play Fool to catch wise. In the end, you'll get to what you need anyway, you know. And then for the other lot that I'm feeling is taking the leaps of faith, you know, and recognizing there are going to be times of naivety. There's going to be times where you take actions based on just emotions and maybe even childlike emotions, things that don't necessarily make sense, but I just feel like that, damn it. You know, and all of that's fine and well and good as long as you can take everything that comes along with it. So sometimes the Fool comes in like someone who's inexperienced, you know, just wants to kind of go with the flow. And then you have the other side of the Fool, which is, I'm just going to jump because I know that regardless of where I jump into this reservoir, I'm going to float. There's no sinking in this thing. I'm going to jump into this great sea, this great ocean or whatever it is. And I know I'm going to float regardless. So there is this energy of just going with the divinely led ideas, like you were saying about the ideals. What have you been idolizing? What are the next shifts? What are the things that you can do otherwise instead of the general thing? So I like the fact that this Fool's here, because it's like, yeah, man, take the leap, especially when you know it's divinely guided and the temple path. There's so much support going on around, and I think this is why the Fool has come up, because you are being urged when you feel that vim and that excitement to take action. That's what you want to feel, and that's indication of action. And then we have the Four of Pentacles. So they're also talking to us about hoarding and saving. So in one sense, save for the future, put down, put your plans in action. This is planning. This is our practical lives. This is putting something aside for the rainy day. This is investing. This is putting things in its place. And then also the flip side is what I've been also told to say is that there's no need for hoarding. Like Daryl said, me, I hold on to things, and the laptop might just mean, you know what I'm saying, it might be a next thing that needs to happen. Yeah, the laptop popped down for me, you get me? And it might just be, don't hold on to this thing of, you know, okay, my value is based on, you know, everything that I put out right now, where it's more than that. That's just a small portion of my whole experience and the experience that I give to others and that I gain from others as well. So don't hold on to this one ideal, this one idea of yourself. Allow it to be fluid. Allow the Fool energy to allow you to jump into something that might be slightly uncomfortable or different in nature. But know that all the while you're still moving towards this temple, this energy, this inner confidence, this inner strength, you know, and recognizing your divinity in that. So I'm very thankful to see that come up. I want to have a look at what this goddess of the moon is talking to us about, why these cards are coming up. I usually pick up these ones, but you called to me. Tell me about the goddess of the moon. Right, look at the duality in the goddess of the moon. So like I said about the phases, we have number 38, which is toil and labor. So that hard work, the grit, the stuff that you have to do, you know, the achy fingers, the achy feet, standing, you know, really putting in effort. And sometimes the toiling is too much, you know, and then other times it's what's necessary to get you to become the privileged lady. Look at this, and this is number 12. So sometimes, like we was talking about with the Saturn, with the discipline, sometimes it takes for you to put a little bit of toil and labor in. It could be just for, you know, you hustle for a year. Give yourself a year to go ham on something, you know, and then that balance to understand that, right, you don't necessarily have to have all of that to get to the temple, because you have putting aside and also investing into yourself and others. So that toil could be what's best, you know, the nervousness, not quite being sure. However, there is definitely a necessity around this goddess to make moves and to take action. And it makes sense that we are talking about this from a Cancer perspective, because labor, you know, labor is love, love is labor. You know, we have to put into ourselves and our children, into work, you know, there is that give and take. So there is an element of toiling, and an element of labor, but also this phase where you can just be a lady of leisure, man of leisure, person of leisure, because of what you've been able to put down previously. So the energy that you have, so say last week you worked so hard that you can say, I'm going to be leisurely this week. I'm not going to go in like I did the week before, you know, and if it's vice versa where I took the breaks, so now I'm going to do a little bit more labor, but take the phases as they come and take the intuitive message, the nudges that you get from your physical body, like we were talking about with health and stuff like that. Your body's always telling you something, you know, the twinge in your back, the tummy thing, the eye twitching, the itchy throat, you know, the knees, whatever it is that your body is telling you. Start to look at what that is, and then you can start to adjust the way you do things. Maybe come off your feet a bit more, you know, maybe sit down a little less, whatever it is. If you're someone who sits down too much, maybe you might need to walk more, and vice versa. But this is why I feel as though we have the goddess of the moon here, because of the different phases. Like I said, it feels like as though that intenseness energy, and then also the subtle, smooth, gentle, nurturing side is there also. And then let's look at the yin yang, baby. You know, yin yang, baby. And yin yang is one of them ones where, you know, for those who consider themselves, you know, we say the conscious community and all of that. Now, there's this notion, and I don't know why this is coming up now, but I'm going to say something that's just come up. I don't know who this is for or who it will resonate with, but I have this pet peeve, and this pet peeve of mine is double-edged, because in one sense it makes sense and in one sense it doesn't. And I think that's why there's always this argument or always this discussion around it. Whereas I even said it on Saturday when I was sitting with the ladies, and I said, I've always had this thing where it's always irked me that when I've gone into spaces that are supposed to be religious or spiritual or whatever, you come across these real harsh, egoic energies. I know everything, you know, I'm going to be fine. Me and mine are okay because we've got this secret source, you know, and sometimes there's no, you know, it's very matter of fact and hard, and there's not a softness or a loving energy sometimes. And I used to be really heartbroken, especially being someone who always leads with the heart and is pulled in that direction. And, you know, my spiritual, my soul will pull me to a space, and then I'd be like, oh, but, they're not nice, they're horrible. But in the fact that it's not always so smooth and beautiful, but there are some beautiful gems there. There is knowledge. There is, if you don't wear your heart on your sleeve and you take and you pick from this, you know, it's like they say, pick the sense from the nonsense. Take what belongs to you and you leave what doesn't. So I don't need to take on all the other stuff, but the gems that they drop, oh, sure, I'm going to pick those up, you know. And then the other side, because I used to say, you know, I like to see God in people. Sometimes that, you know, when you don't feel it or see it, it can be very like, and then you have these beautiful, whimsical people who walk around smiling and carrying on and being all whatever and whatever. And then you find later, oh yeah, pretty dark, really. Wow, like you smile up and you carry on like you're sweet, but you're not sweet enough. Jeez. So there is that yin yang, you know, I don't know who that resonates with, but there's this space where it's like, you know, to be conscious means that you must always be happy-go-lucky and smile and skip down the road. And that's not reality. That's not how sometimes our power is formed. Our power is formed in the dark side of things. The things that people don't see, the hidden, the things that go down in your house, in your room. You know what I'm saying? When it's you and your thoughts and you're just battling the demon there, which is your own fears and anxieties and worries and ill feelings and whatever. So there is this energy of recognizing that everything is necessary, but you pick what's necessary. If you're in the dark spaces, you look for the light because it's always there. And when you're in that moment where it's all beautiful, when the darkness happens, recognize that it's there, it's necessary, you know. can't have one without the other. So there's that. That was just, I don't know who that's for. But I want to go into the tarot and just have a look at this yin yang
I
sitch.
love what you said, by the way.
One
This
moment.
is how I feel about work. I love what you said. For a tree to reach heaven, its roots are going to be in hell. That's something that I live by.
Amen. It's real life. But if you don't see it like that, it can be very rough and very hurtful and very disappointing. So yeah, be grounded in the fact that
Hmm.
yin yang is necessary, and not to beat yourself up when you're in your dark moments, just wanting to be happy go lucky, because that will come, and that will come out of coming forging through the fire, like I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
saying. Um, so this yin yang, what they're talking to me about is the many opportunities, but the Seven of Pentacles. That's so much opportunity, to go through, to grow, to progress, to put into one's business, put into one's home, put into one's personal development. What are what portion of your money are you using for your personal development? Instead of just running out to buy things that are just, obsolete or just decorative. Sometimes you must think about what it is that I'm putting into myself, that I'm, taking from my money. Right, I'm going to invest that in myself. That's a part of my healing, or that's a part of me showing myself self-care when I take myself out for lunch or go and get myself whatever, rub down, whatever it be. But there are so many different opportunities to do so. So they're showing us, even in the times where it seems like there might not be lots going on, actually take a stop and step back and look at all the actual opportunities you do have. Because and you might even have 7 different events. And this is the 7th month. Maybe this is the month, guys. This is possibly the month, because it almost feels like Pentacles are an earth sign. So this is practicality. It's also about the grounding, feeling confident. It's also about being specific and being quite precise. And sometimes being about being a little bit nitpicky. Sometimes you may need to get so specific, with a thing that people think you're being nitpicky, but it's like, nah, I have to get this down right. This is what I'm looking forward to. This is what I'm putting down. This is my plan. This is my blueprint. If I'm going to be doing a blueprint of my home, it makes no sense me not putting in stairs if I want
Hmm.
a stairs. It makes no sense me not, putting the doors to the grand garden if I really want it there. It's about getting that specific and getting that confident with all the opportunities that are here to be looked at. So there's that yin yang, and then it's come up with the Two of Cups. So this yin yang energy, this light dark situation are happening with all of our partnerships. This is cups, so we're talking about our emotions, our feelings. So this yin yang up and down situation, things are going to be happening with your intimate relationships, things happening at work, children, at home, family, whoever. It's energy, isn't it? So we know that this partnership energy can definitely be going through a little bit of up and down, nitpicky energy. It can be a little bit jarring when people are like that. But you might have to see with people when it comes down to the grander picture. What's the bigger picture here? Not necessarily just looking at the right now, the here and the now like that. There is so much more to be looked at. So it makes sense with our sense of selves. And you were talking about, Dara, about the fact that it's about nurturing ourselves and then also how we're nurturing others. So it makes sense that, there is going to be that yin yang, especially if you're in your dark, and someone else is in the light. There's only so much we can give each other in that moment because we're not in the same phase. Like I was saying with that, the goddess of the moon, where there's different
Hmm.
phases. We can learn from each other, kind of maybe when we've come out and we're reflecting. But in that moment, I can't see you. I'm over here, you know what I mean? And that sometimes that can be a really hard place to be. However, allow it to be that because it's for you. Then later you come together and you can have that reflection and that the heart to heart, and you can kind of level of, this is the darkness that I sit in, and you can't see that because you're all the way over there, or I'm in this great place and you're all the way down there. It's like, I want to take you with me. But in that moment, it's for you to be where you are at that space so that you can come to an equilibrium about your duality, about your yin yang. before you can then start sharing with these partners, but recognizing there's so many opportunities in which to do so. So it makes so much sense. You're not always going to be in the same space as your loved ones. And it can be very jarring, especially when we're like, we're on a spiritual path, man. We're on this spiritual path, man. This is why temple path is out here. But someone's spiritual path might just look really, really dark right now because that's what's necessary for them. They're forging through the fire. Our vice versa. They might be so high up there. It's like, I can't even chat to that person. They're just all the way up there right now. I don't even make it no sense of this 3D realm. And that's okay for where they're at. But there will always be moments where the balance will come, and that's where the goddess of the moon come up at some point. But don't force it. Allow it to happen, and just take the time, really. So very lastly, I want to quickly go into our angels of abundance. I love these little cards. Tell me what messages you have before we close out. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you. So we have 3 messages, and I like the way that they've got 9. It's like I've got the first 3 rows, the middle row, and they've all just come out like that. And I just love the way it's just, I like sexual things. I'm like, oh, I got my 9 cards. It's all laid out, It's like, oh. So specifically, I like the 333. So that might be really specific to those who are in the numerology with that 333. That's coming up in the way that these cards are laid. So the message that we've got is quiet retreat. So it says, it's time to disconnect from the outer world so that you can discern and process your true thoughts and feelings from your inner world. Create this quiet time for yourself and you will have more clarity about what to do next. Okay? So there's clarity in what to do next when you take some time out, quiet retreat. And like I said, with that yin yang energy, that dark energy that can be happening, allow yourself time to go through that. Forge yourself, go through the fire if you must, but allow yourself that time, because there's not going to be no clarity when you're pushing for that, and it's not the time for the lights. You're meant to be where you are right now. So disconnect a little bit, allow yourself to work out what's going on within with the thoughts and your own feelings, and then you'll get the clarity of what to do next. Definitely take that time to do so. And that's directly under the temple path. So that makes sense. And again, that's a part of the journey. And you're still on your path, even when you feel like you're standing still. There is no standing still. We're always moving. Even if you're not physically, I get up and I move. Your energy, your vibration is moving. Okay, so there's no real stagnant. It's just what's necessary. So underneath the goddess of the moon, the different phases, the toil, the labor, and the privilege energy, we have partnership. So it says, allow helpful, supportive partnerships into your personal life and career. And both parties will benefit as a result. You are receiving help from heaven and from a person who brings much needed skills and resources. So again, remember, and when we're talking about this energy of this toil and labor, maybe you may have someone who has some type of partnership where it may not need to be so much big time toil and labor, so that you can have privileged time, so that you can feel privileged, move privileged, change your lifestyle. Yeah, to be open to those who have different kind of resources, have different kind of ways of doing things. Maybe they have a link, an inside track, maybe there might be the plug, you know what I'm saying, for something else. And recognize that there are different phases. So if you're in a phase where it's not about the hard work business, there is definitely someone that's going to come up around this week that will have some type of opportunity that you can jump on, where you can move in the way you want to move, where it doesn't always feel like toil and labor, but actually you feel quite privileged to be able to earn in a more easy way. I receive with ease, I receive with ease, I receive with ease. That kind of energy. And then very lastly, we have under the yin yang and the 7 of Pentacles and our 2 of Cups, we have courage and ask for and accept help. So have courage, ask for and accept help. So it says, so like again, ask for help in your yin yang moment. So Asking for help is a sign of strength, as is accepting it and off. And let me start again. Asking for help is a sign of strength, as is accepting it as it is offered to you. Very often, you ask God for help. Prayers are answers through other people. Prayers are answered through other people. Be sure to accept this assistance as well as giving others as you are guided. So again, it makes sense again when we're talking about that yin yang energy, you know, the many opportunities that we have, the Two of Cups, the partnerships. You know, it may be that the person that you need isn't maybe the normal person, you know, isn't the usual person you go for. Maybe you're more courageous and you step out and you ask for help from someone else, and recognize that even when you're talking to the Most High about your innermost, he will bring you people to answer your prayers. So don't be sort of standoffish if it's not the usual person, and oh, I don't usually talk about my business with that kind of people, or we ain't really close like that. There might be a reason why you're led to want to speak to someone, or where you feel, I kind of want to talk to that person, but no, we're not really that kind of close like that. I don't know how it would feel. You've got an intuitive nudge to connect with somebody, do so, because there's a way, you know, they've got a perception that you don't see right now. They have a way that you know, a path that you haven't tread. So be open to that as well, people. And very lastly, I'm just going to give a word of affirmation and see what affirmation will support those throughout this week. What words of affirmations will support the collective for this week? Thank you. Right, okay. So, so for those who are feeling jarred, or any kind of duration, any kind of frustration that comes up, we've got a mind and emotion affirmation. And the affirmation is a managing frustration affirmation. So it says, I am centered in my body. I dissipate frustration by using tools such as breathing, a walk, a glass of water, channeling, or channeling a few rounds of mantra. So I say again, I am centered in my body. I dissipate frustration by using tools such as breathing, a walk, a glass of water, or chanting a few rounds of mantra. Okay, so my lovelies, that has been the vibration. So yeah, man, whatever happens today, just know that you're on the path regardless of what it looks like. You don't have to look rosy, you know what I mean? And it don't have to look picky. It just, I say it, God. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But you are forging forward regardless.
Jeez. Wow. I feel like a lot of those messages, I'm realizing I'm starting to pick up almost every message and say, how do I apply it to me now? It's not even like if it's for me, it's like everything can be for me. And there's so much that you said that just resonates so highly with my being. Especially like the toil and labor goddess of the moon one, especially because you've got moon energy, which is Cancer, and then you've got toil and labor, which is Cardinal. It's about
Yeah.
doing things, and that's what the new moon is all about. So I feel that everything that you were saying is the Seven of Pentacles, opportunities, the cups dealing with partnerships who you're nurturing. All of these themes are going to be quite heavy on the new moon as well. I love the affirmations as well. The temple path, yeah, I like that. Always on the path to your being, and almost, I felt like it's almost like accepting everything and then using it. If I was to try to summarize everything, which is impossible, but
Yeah.
it's like accept everything that's a part of you and then allow that to live your highest version. When you're going on your path, making sure that you're asking help for people, make sure that you're connecting to people, not trying to be isolated. You're not a rock, right? You need connections to people. Good and bad is going to be a part of that, and it's when you learn to dance with your demons, that's when you learn how to
Amen.
direct them. Like when you're dancing with someone, you could sometimes direct them if the person lets you, and your demons will let you. They just want to be accepted like you are. So what if you get a little bit hype certain time, right? That's something that you decided to bring into this reality. So dance with it, use it. Don't say this isn't for me. but maybe learn how to channel it in a way that allows you to live the highest version of you. And I think that Neptune energy is really going to be bringing all of this to us. Have we been staying in one place and not doing what we need to do and being afraid of saying to people, I need help? I look strong, but I need, someone to lean on me, just or to lean on someone certain time, just like we have pillars of massive buildings, right? We all need our pillars and need to be able to ask for help. I'm being picky and asking for help. Yes, that is it. I'm centered in my body, dissipating my frustration using tools such as breathing. Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Someone
she
send that
wrote
to
it
me.
out.
Yeah,
Well
I need to
done.
put that in
Thank
the
you.
description. Like, I want to definitely
Ah,
want to put that in the description.
yeah, I will. I'll put that in the, yeah. I'll
Thank you,
send it
thank you.
over.
So,
It's big.
guys, I hope that these messages have touched you like they've touched me. You know, it's a new time. It's a new time. The summer solstice. The sun's energy is very high right now. So use it. Accept your darkness, guys. That's Cancer energy. It's ruled by the moon. It's about the feminine. It's about going a bit skitsy certain time and giving yourself the freedom to do that without judging and saying, yo, I need to do this because I can't hustle the way I need to hustle. If I don't go crazy in one way, shape, or form, you know,
If it come out
it
somewhere.
has to come out somewhere. So giving yourself that space, and then also again tapping into your emotions and going back to self. I feel like it's so critical. It's always critical, right? So don't get it wrong, but in this
Yeah.
particular time, when these themes are being brought to the surface, you know, and I don't want to go into the new moon stuff because it's so in alignment, it's crazy. But yeah, guys, remember to book your tickets for the new moon meditation. Standard tickets are £10, but you can pay what you like. We just want you to be a part of it. If it's you only got £1, it's cool. That's it. Whatever you put in, remember the universe will give it back to you. So we just want you to be a part of it. If you can't physically be there, you get a recording and you can always use that as well. For myself, make sure that you tap into my newsletter every Monday that will be getting sent out. There'll be information not just on the stars, but anything that I'm doing. So, for example, everything that happened when I went to the center of the heart chakra of the earth, you will see access to that. Book personal readings. I can also do electoral astrology now, which is finding good days for us to do things. I'm learning how to level these things up. But also remember, for Empress Vibrant, you have the Patreon, you have the YouTube. This support. These are the things that happen. We put out all this content. We need the support of our family, our friends. And even as a message telling us, yo, we rate what you're doing. We appreciate it all. We appreciate the comments, everything that you are doing. Tap in. Ask us the questions, and we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday as well. Is there anything that you wanted to add before we tap off? Do you have any questions?
I think you said it all, to be fair, yeah, because like I said, the Patreon's there. Like I said, still got to sort on my laptop, so I've still got there's a little, little pause, but the readings can still go on. It's there. You know what I mean? Check out the Candly. That's what I would say. I would say when you go onto my bio, check out the Candly, check out all the different types of readings that's going on, and the Reiki. The Reiki's been picking up, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
really loving. I've been doing a few extra treatments, which I love, and know that you can have that done from the privacy of your own yard and me there at my yard, and I'll send it to you distance. So know that the healing can be had on so many different levels. So just have a look at the Candling, book up, and definitely come on Wednesday. Like Daryl said, we just want you guys to come and feel the energy, utilize it. It's beautiful. We always have a great time. So, yeah, man, come
Love
on
it.
down still.
And thank you for all the comments, guys, and Rose Quartz. Thank you for coming. I don't think I've seen you before. So, we hope that we see you here regularly moving forward. Every Sunday we're here. It's
Right.
11 o'clock, we're dropping these messages. And guys, remember that you're perfect by design, not just in your light, but in your darkness too. The statements of you are perfect by your design, not by what you do, but based on who You are, we love you and hope you have a good Sunday. We'll see you on Wednesday. Blessings.
See you guys.